What's going on, y'all? In this video, I want to talk about how the Mpox is spreading rapidly throughout Africa, and how a few other countries are already reporting it, and it's already spreading. However, there's no need for concern at the moment. Remember in 2020, they told us that there will be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We could sit back and not worry at all. And then they didn't do any travel bans and it continued to spread. And then eventually, they told us all to panic and put on, masks and everything. So it's kind of how it's going right now. We have African health officials calling for solidarity and unity and no travel bans over the Mpox outbreak. Well, solidarity is not going to stop the spread of the virus. At the end of the day, if people are just traveling anywhere, that's how the virus is going to spread. So we need to figure out how things are going to go. We have the United States. They're sending vaccines over there. The UK is sending things over there. And, we have funds that are being sent over there. But it's spreading quicker than these resources are being sent. And another thing is that we don't know how quickly these resources are going to be sent out there. Plus, there's more than one variant that's spreading. Remember, we already had this outbreak. We had it in America. We had it in different countries. So just to take note of that. And we don't know how, one of these vaccines, we don't know what variant it's going to treat. We don't know how effective it's going to be. And plus, you could fix one variant, but what if another variant comes up? So those are things that we all need to be concerned about. So, just like in 2020, that just allowed people to travel freely. And right now we got like 13 countries that we know about. So it's going to be more that continue to come out and say that they have their first case. And it's very concerning. So in my previous video, I talked about how Bitcoin and the S&P diverge. And that's going to continue to happen, especially as we see this continue. Now, if we do see some type of situation where there is a lockdown or anything of that nature, which I'm not saying there will be, but let's just give a hypothetical. We will see the U.S. economy continue to struggle. There's going to be more, economic instability, and people are going to put their money outside of the banks. They're going to continue to look for different assets. People were buying houses, people were buying gold, food. Money started flowing into Bitcoin later on in the year. So we're going to start to see the Bitcoin and S&P 500 completely diverge when it comes to the patterns, because you usually see them have a similar pattern, but that will not be the case. And it's already being reported in the media that this debt bubble is going to pop. And we're seeing Russia and China trade in their local currencies. And what does that mean? The dollar is definitely due for a collapse. We already see, prices skyrocketing here in America. The dollar not holding the value that it once did, even just a few years back. And they're talking about printing more and more money, sending more money to all these countries for war, giving money to people who aren't from America. So all of this so-called free money is going to come at a price and can happen any day now. And holding on to this money and having it in the bank is going to hurt a lot of people. So we have banks that are admitting this. U.S. credit card debt soars to $1.1 trillion as the Bank of America CEO issues a warning on depleting American consumer. Now, this article came out on the 18th. This number is going to continue to go up. So obviously this number changed. But what this means is that the consumer is pretty much burnt out. People are behind on bills. People don't have money to go out and eat, go to the movies and buy clothes. Americans are just financially over. So this last article says 94 U.S. banks are at serious risk of bank runs. What does that mean, bank runs? When banks don't have your money. You try to go to the ATM and cash out. Well, sorry, we don't got your money. And that's if the banks are open. Could you imagine if the banks just decide to just stay closed completely? Forget a bank run, they're just closed. You won't even be able to go to the bank. That's just a whole situation right there in itself. We have Bank of New York, State Street, JP Morgan, Chase, Citibank, And these situations are going to continue. Don't think that, you could vote your way out of this mess. Both parties are going to continue to push these same policies. I know a lot of people, they're focused on this election, and they think that on one side, they're going to have an opportunity economy where if you vote for one candidate, they're going to bring opportunity for everyone in the middle class and on the bottom. Or you vote for another candidate that they're just going to make America great and safe. Well, those days are over. You have too much spending, too much debt, and you're sending too much money to people that are not the American people, that are not the working class. And because of that, the US dollar is completely finished. You have banks, you got people that own large companies that are telling you things are finished, and you have the media, which is being silent, and they're burying these stories because they don't want the Americans to freak out, and they don't want Americans to stop spending money, even though they already are. They want you to just keep maxing out those credit cards until this debt bubble collapses. Now, at the end of the day, what is this going to do for things like gold and Bitcoin, real estate? Well, it's going to do the same thing. As we can see, we've been seeing the price of all these assets continue to go up in value, and they've just been skyrocketing over time. Now, if we could take a look at these charts, I don't know why I can't find a chart for some reason, but at the end of the day, the price of gold hitting all-time highs, Bitcoin gonna hit all-time highs soon because it's being bought up. It's a supply and demand thing. Luxury real estate, people are buying real estate all over the place, and this is what happens when we're dealing with a fiat collapse, and people are just gonna try holding on to cash as if it's a store of value. And people did that in other countries. They did it in Venezuela, they did it in Cuba, they did it in Zimbabwe, Argentina. They did it in all these countries, and eventually it just eats away at your wealth. So at the end of the day, just make sure that you do what you can to protect your family and your wealth at all costs. So like this video and subscribe, please, and I will see you in the next one.